Hello, my name is Miranda, and I'm going to show you how to ditch those PDFs, or at least make them a little bit more usable. So I'm going to start off by opening up a PDF that I would like to assign to my students. I'm just going to grab one from an example from the Bridges math curriculum. So here's a PDF. You'll see, right, that there's some diagrams and things on there that I would like my students to be able to look at and reference and then type their answers on. However, if I were to just assign this PDF as is through Google Classroom to my students, they wouldn't be able to type on it. They wouldn't be able to do anything with it other than just view it. So I want to kind of make it into something that they can actually type on and manipulate. So I'm going to start by using this diagram here. This is the piece that I want to pull off of this PDF and add spaces for my students to answer right there on the diagram. So I'm going to start by taking a screenshot of that. I'm going to use Command-Shift-4 because I'm on a Mac and I get these little crosshairs, and then I'm going to go ahead and take a little screenshot of it and it'll save it down there onto my desktop. If you're not sure how to take a screenshot on your device, if you're on a Chromebook or something along those lines, I'd recommend just going to Google and Google the question, how to take a screenshot on a Chromebook. And then, or if you're on some sort of PC, whatever it is, just Google it and it'll show you how. Here it's Control and the Switch window key, which is at the top of the keyboard for a Chromebook, or Control Shift and the Switch window key will allow me to do a partial screenshot, which is what you just saw me do on that PDF. Okay, so now I have the screenshot of that, and now I'm going to go into my Google Drive and create a Google slide in order to be able to make this something that I can assign to my students and they can manipulate. So I'm going to go to the New and select Google Slides. I like using Google Slides for a variety of reasons versus Google Docs. It gives me kind of multiple pages that the students can progress through. It also, more importantly, allows me to add a background image that students can type over, which is really the purpose of what I want to do here with that screenshot from the PDF. And I went through that kind of quickly, so I'm showing again. I'm here in my Google Drive, go to New and select Google Slides. All right. So now I'm going to go and add a title to this. I'm going to call it, for example, Money Practice, or whatever it is you want to call this. I'm also down here going to label it. I always like to include kind of a title page, which is a place where I can add instructions and things like that for my students. For example, complete the following activity, or whatever. That one's kind of obvious, but you guys get the idea. The other thing I like to do to make it a little bit more student-friendly is add images. So I'm going to go up to Insert Image and say Search the Web. And this will allow me to search for any sort of image. For the purpose of this, I'm going to look for money and just grab something. I can click on it and drag it over. The other thing I can do is click on it and then use Insert that's at the bottom of the screen. Now it's going to put that image in there for me. I can resize it just by dragging from one of the corners and dragging in to resize it and move it around on the screen. And then, maybe move my text over or whatever, just to make everything a little bit more organized and legible. Okay, so now we're going to get started on actually using that screenshot I used from the PDF. So I'm going to hit the plus sign to add a new page or a new slide into this activity. And then I need to now put that image that I took, the screenshot, into the background of this slide. So the way I'm going to do that is go up to where it says background and then select choose image. Then it's going to allow me to browse my the things saved on my laptop. If I have something in my Google Drive, I could also just pull it from there. But I'm going to choose browse because I know this image that I just took is on my laptop. I'm going to select recents just so I'm sure I get the correct one. There it is. And now I'm going to say open. And what this is going to do, it's actually going to paste it kind of into the background of this slide and make it almost like a wallpaper on that slide. I'll hit done, and there it is. So now I need to make this so that students can actually type over top of it. If I wanted to, as a side note, use like this entire page, this whole PDF, I could take a screenshot of the whole thing with all these questions. Nice big screenshot of the whole page. And then I actually could change the layout size of my slides. If I go up to File and say Page Setup, and then choose from this drop-down menu Custom, It'll allow me to change my slide size, and I could make this a 8.5 by 11, like a regular sheet of paper size, and then paste that whole PDF into the background. But for the purpose of this, I'm just using this one diagram. I'm going to get rid of these text boxes here by clicking on kind of the edge of it and then hitting my delete button, and that'll get rid of it. Make sure you click on the edge of the text box to delete it. Okay, so now it's nice and clean, and now I'm able to add some things there that will allow my students to type their answers. So I'm going to do that by going up here to the text box tool and clicking on it, and then it'll give me these little crosshairs that allow me to click and drag and make my text box. So there it is, I made my text box. That will be where my students can type their answers. You'll notice though that if I click away from it, it kind of disappears. So I want to make sure that text box is obvious to my students. And the way I'm going to do that is by clicking on it or selecting it, and then first going up to this border weight tool, which are those 3 lines, and then add some border weight there, and it kind of outlines it nice and makes it more clear. I'm also going to add some more, maybe some color to this to make it even more obvious. So I'm going to go up to that paint can tool where it says fill color and choose this yellow color. All right, so there it is. And now what I need to do is make that same text box available for my students in all of these fields. So I'm going to Command C to copy this, and then Command V to paste, or I could right click to copy and right click to paste that text box there. All right, and then I'm just going to resize it the size I need and move it down. And then I'm going to continue to do that, just copy and paste and resize that text box for all of these questions. I don't want to torture you too much with having to watch me resize these, but you get the idea. This is actually probably the most time-consuming part of creating these kind of PDFs that are editable or that students can type over top of. It's just creating these text boxes for them. The other thing that I want to point out about these text boxes is that in order for a student to be able to type into it, they're going to have to double click in the box in order to get their cursor and be able to type. So if I double click, then I get the cursor and then I can type. And I would really include this in the instructions for students because it might not be obvious to them. So I'm going to go back up here to that title page and just include that information in their instructions here. You know, type in the yellow box, and you need to double click in order to type. Okay, so I'm just going to move these around a little bit, make sure it's clean on the page. And now I am ready to show you how to add some more kind of interactive activities that aren't based on a PDF onto this same Google slide practice. So I'm going to create a new slide, and now I could pull, you know, something else off of this PDF, but I would prefer to kind of create my own kind of question that's more interactive for students. So on this new Google slide here, I'm going to type in my question, right? Drag the coins into the yellow box to show 75 cents, for example. So I'm going to need to do 2 things. I'm going to need to put coins on this page and also the yellow box in order for them to do this activity. I'm going to get rid of this text box because they won't be typing anything. I don't need it. Now I have a clean workspace, and I'm going to start with getting those coins. So I'm going to go to Insert Image and search the web. And now I'm going to search for example, quarters. And here's a quarter. Put it on the page. I might need to resize it. I'm going to make it smaller. I always recommend dragging from the corners of an image, not from the middle here, because then you'll skew the image. So there's 1 quarter. I can just simply Command C and then Command V to copy and paste, or you can always right click on it to get your copy and paste options. Now maybe I also want a nickel, for example. I could type that correctly. There we go. And here's my nickel. I'm going to drag it onto the page, resize it again, and then maybe 1 last coin, a penny. Put that on the page and resize it. Okay, So now I have my coins, and now I need the yellow box that students are going to drag the coins into. I don't need to use a text box because they won't be typing anything. So in this case, I'm going to use my Shapes tool and go up to Shapes and select this rectangle. And I'm going to put my rectangle on the screen just using those same crosshairs, make it the size I would like. And then I'm going to format it the same way I did my text box. I'm going to add some border weight here, and then also use that paint can. You'll notice that right now I don't see the paint can up in my options. It's because I'm not selected on that shape. So if you don't see options that you're looking for, it might be because you're not clicked on the right item. I need to click here on this shape and then get that paint can option at the top. So clicking on it, now those options show up and I see my paint can up at the top. I'm going to click on that and select that same yellow color. All right, now I have the ability to drag a coin and drop it in. You notice now my coin kind of disappeared. It's kind of hidden behind that yellow box. So whenever you are putting images on, you need to make sure they're layered correctly or in the right order. So I'm going to show you how to fix this. I'm going to click on my yellow box. And once I click on it, I have that blue line around it showing it's selected. And then I'm going to go up to Arrange, Order, Send to Back. And what that'll do is send it behind anything else I have on this page. So now when my students move the coins over, they will go on top of that yellow box, or what looks like in the yellow box. Okay, so maybe this is an activity I want them to do a few times. I can show you a quick way to make this activity and quickly edit it so that students can have a few different ways to practice and just change the amount that they're supposed to show. So if I right click on this slide and select Duplicate Slide, and I'm going to do that multiple times. So now I can just go to slide number 4, for example, and maybe I'm going to change this to 26 cents that they need to show. And I'm clicking on slide 5, and I'm going to change this to just 30 cents that they need to show. So now you can see I'm kind of building a nice set of activities where students have to type and manipulate images to practice their understanding of coins. I'm going to give you maybe just 2 more ideas of ways to add some more kind of interactive activities for your students. So for the purpose of this one, maybe I want them to kind of explain their thinking a little bit more. This obviously is going to require that your students do have some ability to type. So it might be more of a 3rd grade and up type activity, depending on the length of the response. So I'm going to type up here a question. Look at Susie's money below. Does she have enough to buy a $10 teddy bear? And then I'm going to ask my students, to explain their thinking, why or why not. So first thing I'm going to do is change the size of this text box so that my students will be able to type down below, and I have some room to add the images I want up above. And I'm going to format this text box the same as all the rest, so my students get used to that. And now I'm going to insert some images. So I'm going to go to Insert Image, search the web, and maybe I'm going to start with an image of a teddy bear. This cute little guy, get him on there, and resize it a little bit and put it where I want it. And I also said that I need them to look at Susie's money, so I'm going to get, maybe just to make it easy, for the purpose of right now, a $5 bill image, put it there, so that they'll have to refer to that $5 bill and then decide if she has enough money to buy that teddy bear. And now they can write down below, she doesn't have enough money because $5 is less than $10, etc. You guys get the idea. Okay, I'm going to show you one more activity that you can add onto a Google slide, just another idea. So I'm going to go up to the plus sign to add another slide, slide 7 here. And maybe this time I want to add a video. So I'm going to say, watch the video and tell me one thing you've learned. Or you could make it a question that's a lot more specific to the actual content of the video, but for the purpose of this, you get the idea. So I'm going to move my text box over to the right-hand side now, because I'm going to leave some room for the video here. And then also, again, format my text box. I think it really helps the students identify where they're required to enter in some information if I make it uniform across all the slides. So now I'm going to go to Insert and select Video, and this allows me to search YouTube. So I can search YouTube for a video of anything. In this case, it's going to be counting money. And something I want to draw your attention to, so here are my search results, and if you look at the little gray writing below, it'll tell you the date of the video and also the length of the video. So I want to zero in on the ones that are, for example, 4 minutes and 3 minutes long. So I can watch and preview them in the moment here just by hitting the play button. Let's say I've decided I want to use this video. It's selected with those blue lines around it. And now I can just go down to the bottom right and left, and select. And that'll insert the video in here, and I'm just going to scoot it down a bit so it's lined up correctly. Okay, so now my students will watch this video and then add their response in the text box. All right, so here's a nice sequence of activities, and now I'm going to show you how to assign it through Google Classroom. I'm going to start by going into Google Classroom. So I opened up a new tab here. You can go to classroom.google.com or through your apps waffle. You click on the Google Classroom tile. And now I'm going to open up my Google Classroom that I would like to assign this Google slide in, and go over here to the Classwork tab. And now I'm going to click on my Create button and select Create Assignment. So I'm going to call this Money Practice and give my instructions, complete all the activities in the attached Google slide. I might also put something here about, making sure to type in the yellow text boxes, etc. And now I need to actually attach this Google slide here onto this assignment. So I'm going to go over to Add, and remember we created that in my Google Drive, so that's where it's living now. And so I'm going to add from my Google Drive. I always like that it takes me right to my recents, so if I was just working on it, it'll be the first thing that pops up here. I'm going to say Add. If I can't find it in my recents, I could always go to My Drive and do a search for it by title. So I'm going to add this on to the assignment. By default, it says students can view file, which means that students, if I leave it that way, will only be able to look at this Google slide. They won't be able to type or move those coins around or anything like that. So I'm going to use this drop-down arrow and select this third option, which is make a copy for each student. So you could think of this as like you go to the photocopy machine, you make copies for all your students of the activity page, and then you're going to pass it out to each student. So each student has their own copy that they'll put their name on, and that they will write their own answers on. So I'm going to say make a copy for each student. Something that's important to note, a common mishap is that teachers often assign this assignment before selecting this option. And then they go back into edit to say, oops, I forgot to make a copy for each student. And they go back in to edit the assignment to change this setting. Once you assign it for the first time, you won't get this third option. So if you click assign before choosing this, your only option really is to reuse the post or create a new assignment and go through these steps again. So you want to make sure you select this option the very first time you create the assignment. Over here, I could choose to assign it to multiple sections or multiple classes if I have them. I could also choose to differentiate. Maybe this activity is the more difficult one and only one of my students will get that, etc. Points, if I would choose to grade this, I can put in a point value. I could also make it ungraded. Due date, I think, is really helpful for you and your students. Your students know when it needs to be completed by, and it'll also notify you, the teacher, if someone completes something after the due date. They will still be allowed to complete the assignment and turn it in, but it'll say that they turned it in late if it's after the due date. A topic is a way to organize things in Google Classroom. You can always watch our intermediate Google Classroom webinar if you want to know more about those. I'm just going to tag it with the topic of math. Okay, and now it looks like I have everything there that I need, so I'm going to go ahead and assign this to my students. And what it's doing now is it's making a copy of this Google Slide project for every one of my students. And here it is underneath the math topic. I'm going to open it up and say View Assignment. And here you can see it's made a copy of that Google Slide project for each one of my students. So I'm going to quickly show you what it looks like from the student side. So if I click over here, I actually am logged in as a student. I always recommend to teachers, if you want to see what something looks like from a student end, go ahead and log in as one of your students, ID number and birth date password, assuming they haven't changed it. So here I am. I'm going to open up my assignment called Money Practice. I believe it was this one. This is a test student account, so it's identifying my name as test 2 student, but right with a real student, it'll have their name attached to the title of the document now, which is really nice. I'm going to say View Assignment. Here are my instructions: complete all the activities in the attached Google slide. All the work is attached over here, and here's the attachment. So I'm going to go ahead and open it up. Again, I'm in the student view. So now I can go through this activity as a student. It's going to take a second to load. And I'm going to just show you what it looks like, right? As a student, I can write my answer here, right, in all these boxes. I could go through this and show 75 cents. You guys get the idea. I won't complete all of these, right? I could type my answer, right? And write whatever, because leave my answer there, right? I learned, and then whatever it is that the student learned. And now I can pretend I'm done with this activity as the student. I'm going to go back over here to Google Classroom. Remember, everything is automatically saved, so even if the student closes this, it'll save their progress. I also want to show you that if I go in, now I'm in the teacher view, and if I go into that student's work, I will be able to see in the moment what they're doing and what they're working on. Let this load quickly, and you'll see what I'm talking about, right? So here on slide 2, I can already see they're typing something, right? I can see that they've dragged the coins, etc. So it's kind of nice to be able to check on your students' progress on these. And then back over here in the student view, I'm logged in as the student here. I completed my activity, and now I'm going to say turn in, and that'll notify my teacher that I have turned in this assignment, and I'm saying I'm done. And if I refresh over here on the teacher side, hope I'm not switching between these windows too fast for you. You can see now, as in my teacher view, it's telling me test 2 student has turned this in. They say they're done, and I can go through it, see all their work, and go ahead and give them a grade, add a comment if I want, and then go ahead and return it to the student so that they can see their grade. And just one last time, show you the student view so you could see what that looks like when I refresh here. My teacher has now graded it, and I can see my score up here at the top. I'm going to quickly show you some more advanced examples of the same kind of activity that we've created on the Google slide. These are all called hyperdocs, and this one is created on a Google Doc instead of a Google slide, the topic being around Charlotte's Web. So again, the teacher who created this used essentially the same tools that we did on the slide, inserting images and boxes to walk students through a lesson sequence. So it starts with a connection or hook where the students explore some animal sounds. They just click on this link, and this is, a web page that the teacher found from Scholastic where they can click on the different animals and explore the sounds that they make. And then, then the first part of the lesson is they're going to watch a YouTube video of someone reading the story of Charlotte's Web. And then they go down here into the engagement activity where the students are all contributing. They click on this link and they contribute to a Google slide where they write about their favorite character. And in this case, all the students are contributing to the same one, so they get to read about each other's favorite characters. And then down here is the independent part of this lesson, where after they've gone through all the above, they're going to write 3 things they discovered, 2 interesting facts or details, and 1 question they have. And then down here, they're supposed to show what they know. This could be, where the students create a part of the lesson. So it could be you could say that they need to create a Google slide where they give a summary of the story. In this case, the teacher is having them create a comic using an online tool. So the one thing that this teacher used to create this that I haven't showed you yet is what's called a hyperlink. So they found, like in this animal sounds example, they found a website and they linked or hyperlinked this text to that website. So when you click on it, it goes there. So I'm going to show you how to do that on this next document I think I have editing access to. Yeah, so here's an example. I'll walk you through this kind of secondary level example, but just to show you how to hyperlink something, I'm going to highlight the text that I want to link, and then I'm going to go up to this icon where it says Insert Link and click on it. And then I could copy and paste the web address of the activity that I found, or the video that I found, or the website I want them to go to. Here I'm just going to put something random, and then say apply. And now when the students were to click on this word, it would take them to that website. So that is, I think, the only tool that I haven't showed you so far, but it's pretty simple. Just insert a link and goes to another website. This is, again, another example of a hyperdoc done on a Google Doc, not a Google slide, related to the Civil War. So this is broken up into kind of the lesson sequence of explore, explain, apply, and then what the student's task is for each one of those lesson sections. So it starts off with explore, or that's similar to the hook in Charlotte's Web, where they're supposed to watch a video. You could link multiple videos here, just using, again, that same insert link icon. And then the students are supposed to answer right here in the doc what was the main cause of the Civil War. Then maybe explain, they're going to read a Newsella article, whatever else it is that you wanted to link there. And again, you're explaining their task. And finally, the apply, or this is kind of the show what you know part, And this is where you'd put all the instructions. For example, create a Google slide, write about 3 of the main causes of the Civil War, or whatever the activity is. And again, you would assign this document in Google Classroom. You would create an assignment and assign it as make a copy for each student. The last example I'm going to show you, they got pretty fancy with this, but again, they used all the same tools that I've already showed you how to do, inserting images and text. So here, this is a Google slide activity for students, or lesson, I would say, that the students are supposed to progress through on the Underground Railroad. So it starts off with that title slide, which is the objective, and then just walk students through what they can expect to see throughout this. And these are all just, like, this is an image inserted, this is a link, so the students are supposed to go look at this link using this explore, We'll direct them to click here, and then they're supposed to explain, again, there's that 3-2-1 model, what they learned from watching that or reading that. And again, they just inserted a bunch of videos and images here to walk their students through a nice lesson sequence. You can also include maps. Anything you can find on the internet, you can link or take your students to it by just linking it off of any of these. And then the nice part is you can have them not only reference whatever you link, but then write about it or talk about it or show what they know in the same place. Here's a nice example. They gave their students a choice board, right, for the show what you know part. And there you go. So here's another example. I'd like to remind you guys that we have our teacher website. If you go to our PVUSD website, and as soon as it opens here, go to the staff tab and the first link, distance learning resources. We have a bunch of stuff here for you guys. And I'd like to point your attention to this courses for teachers page. All the webinars that we're providing for this SBC day and beyond will be posted here. So you can scroll down and we're going to link them all here. So you can always refer back to this one by going to this website. And also under our More tab, if you go to the FAQ page, most likely if you have a question, somebody else has asked it also, and we've created a video or a doc about an answer to that. So feel free to look there. And on the bottom here, I wanted to point your attention to our email address for all the tech coaches, dtic@pvusd.net. We'll email all 4 tech coaches if you have any questions, and we'll be happy to get back to you. You can also call 831-786-2488, or you can call into PVUSD district office and type in that extension, and that'll take you to one of the tech coaches also, and we'd be happy to answer your questions. All right, that's all. Take care.